Okay, so now I want to actually animate the scene. I'm going to hit A because I have that selected. I want to make sure nothing's selected. I'm going to right click on this rectangle, shift right click, and shift right click. So I've got all of those selected. And hit M to move to a new layer and click right there. So now at the bottom you can see here we've got two different layers, each with different objects. So for the animation, everything's going to move one direction except for these two are going to move a different direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to parent all of these objects to one empty, and then we're going to animate that empty, and that's going to move all these objects together. So I'm going to hit 7 to go to my top view, Shift A, go down to empty and grab the plane axes, hit S to scale, just get it up a little larger, I'm going to hit A to deselect. And now I'm just going to go around and select everything in the scene. So I'm going to right click on that floor, shift right click on the one champion, shift right click onto that ring, rotate around, I'm going to shift right click on the floor here, shift right click the ring, the pose, and then we also want this here. So now that we have everything selected, which did we lose? Oh. Okay, I think here I'm just going to try moving this real quick and make sure I've got everything selected. Okay, I do. I'm going to hit Shift Control Z just to undo that. And so once you make sure you do have everything selected except for these two rings, shift right click on the empty, and I'm going to hold Control and hit P and click Object. So I'm going to hit A to deselect. So now all of those objects are going to move with this empty. So just to check that it all worked, I'm going to right click on that empty, hit R for rotate and Z, and let's spin it around and yep, everything is spinning together, and that's just what we want. So I'm going to hit escape on that, and I'm going to hit save on my project. Okay, I'm going to deselect with A, and now we want an empty that's going to move the other two objects. So I'm going to hit 7 to go to my top view, hit Shift A, and this time I'm going to add an empty sphere, just so I can tell the difference between the two. So I'm going to A to deselect that, I'm going to right click on the front one, shift right click on the back one, and now I'm going to shift right click on the empty, hit Control P, and click on Object. I'm going to hit A to deselect, let's scroll around, right click on that empty, hit RZ, which is checking that it is moving together. Okay, perfect. I'm going to hit escape and save my project again. And that's all we need to get the animation going. Okay, now that we've done that, I'm going to hit the keypad that's to the left of the 1, and that will actually show all layers. So if I hit that again, you'll see it turns off the other layers. If I hit it, it brings back my other layers. So now let's work on this animation here. So I'm going to hit N to bring up my right panel, and I'm going to scroll up to the top, and let's see, also in the furthest right panel, I'm just going to click on the little camera icon, and so for this project I'm going to have 24 frames a second, and it's going to be 10 seconds long, so I'm going to change the 250 to 240, and just click that there, and we want our final pose. Let's see, I'll start the animation with everything facing forward, so I've got this empty selected and I'm on frame 1 right here. So with my mouse hovering over the rotation over here, I'm going to hit I, and that's just going to insert a keyframe and lock in that position. So I also want to right click on the other empty and do the same thing, and I'm going to hit I, and that's just going to lock in the rotation there. So I think I'm going to have these both spin twice, and they're going to go in opposite directions. And I want this to happen maybe a second before the end. So I'm going to click down here, go to frame 100 to frame 200, hit enter, and let's see, let's start with, we've already got this selected, so I'm going to hit R and Z just to see what I'm moving with. So I think I want it to go in the negative directions of rotating. You can see at the top right with the negative 327. So I'm going to have this go negative 720 and hover my mouse over here and hit I. So that's just going to lock that in. So now if you click and drag in the bottom timeline here, you'll see that we actually have this animation going now. So the only thing is I don't want it to end perfectly straight. I want there to actually be a little bit of a tilt to this, just to have a little bit more interest. So I'm going to have it end maybe about here. And this can again be up to you, but I'm going to have it go there and the keyframe's locked in. So we could actually click right here, jump to the front, and hit play here, and you can see how that's going to work. Yep. Okay. So now I'm going to right click on the other empty, and I'm going to click down here, also go to frame 240. And so since that one went negative 720, I'm going to have this one go to positive 720. And I'm just going to hit I with my mouse over the rotation here. And again, if we jump to the beginning, hit play, you can actually see our animation going now. Okay? And the only thing is just the way that, let's jump back to where were we, 200. Oh, I realized I accidentally put the keyframe for this one on 240 instead of 200. Let's see. So to fix this, I'm going to go from the 3D view into the dope sheet. And you'll see here, I'm going to hit A to deselect everything. You'll see these keyframes here. I'm just going to hit B for box select. It's going to select those. I'm going to hit G. And I'm just going to bring that over to match the other one. Okay? So the dope sheet's great for just being able to move around your keyframes and other things. So let's see. I'm going to jump back to my 3D view. Go back to frame 200. And the same way this one, I'm going to hit Shift Z just so we can see it rendered. The same way that one's not perfectly straight, I'm going to actually change this. Again, your computer might not be able to handle doing this live. But I'm just going to just angle this. Here, let's see maybe what it'll look the other way. No, so I want to go more this way for sure. Maybe about, let's say like to here. And again, this is all like style choice. This is up to you, but I'm going to leave it right there. Hit Shift Z. I'm going to save real quick. Jump back to the front right here and just hit play. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. Let's see how it comes together at the end. And then it will sit for a second. Okay, so now we just need to do the camera move. Alright, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm actually going to hit 7 to go to my top view. I'm going to hit Shift A and camera. Just going to drag that back. And let's see, we've got to change the rotation on this. So let's change that to 90. And what is this going to be? The Y to 90 also. Oh, nope, that's not right. Change the X to 90. Okay. Yep, that's what we want. And let's go over to the camera settings. So it's okay, so that's going to work for us. So I'm going to hit N to get rid of that right panel. And to give myself some more room, I'm going to pull this over here. And with my mouse on the left panel, I'm going to hit 0. That's going to get you into your camera view. And I'm just going to click right there to go back to the first frame. And I'm just going to use the right panel, I'm going to hit 7 here, to move the camera. So I'm going to bring it really close in right here. So I want it really tight to start, and then we're going to pull out from there. So let's see, I'm going to move it. Let's have it be a little off to the right, just a little bit. I'm going to hit 1, and I'm going to pull it up higher. Okay. Let's see, 7 again. So I'm going to hit R. I'm just going to kind of position it where the camera is close up. I'm going to close that window, hit N, and now I'm going to go lock camera to view. And just using my middle mouse wheel, I'm just going to kind of position this maybe about to so. You know, whatever composition you like, but I think that might be pretty good. I'm going to turn off this lock camera view and hit Shift Z to see what I think about that start position. And you know, I think that's going to be pretty good, so I'm going to leave it like that. Again, you can change it to however you like. I'm going to hit Shift Z there. And in this time, again, make sure you're in frame 1. With the location and rotation, I'm going to keyframe both of these. I'm going to hit I, that's going to lock in the location. I'm going to hit I, and that's going to lock in the rotation. So the camera is now locked in frame 1. Okay, so now I'm going to move to, let's make another window again. And I'm going to hit N to get some more space over here. And I'm going to hit 7 to go to my top view. And let's go to about halfway. Let's just go right to halfway. So I'm going to type in 120. And so about halfway through, actually, no, let's go to the last frame. Let's lock in where the camera's going to end. Let's go to 240, hit enter, and you know what, I'm going to get rid of this window actually, and I'm going to click lock camera to view, and I'm just going to scroll out and find a final angle that I like. So I'm going to be off to the right, and it's going to be tilted in. And then I'm going to hit Shift-C because I also want to see how it looks with where the sun is hitting it, because it's going to be drastically different depending on your exact angle and how the reflections are being hit. So really, again, this is up to you. This is a style choice. I'm going to go ahead and do something maybe like this. And yeah, let's just go ahead. I'm going to bring it down a little bit, make it more in the center. And I'm going to hit Shift-Z to go to the rendered view. I'm going to turn off the lock camera to view. I'm just going to hit I on both of those. So let's just jump to the front. Let's see how this looks. I'm going to hit play. So one thing I don't like is that I want to be able to see more of that initial action. So I kind of want the animation to start pulling out faster and then slow down as we go out. So let's just go to the beginning and let's see, because I want to be able to see it's all, this stuff's interesting here, and it's getting too blocked out by how close we are. So I'm going to click the lock camera to view. I'm just going to scroll out a little bit and just move over to the left a bit. I kind of want the camera to go left a little bit before it goes to the right. So I'm going to go right there, turn off the lock camera to view, and I'm going to hit I and keyframe both of those. So let's jump back to the beginning and let's hit start. So you see that's a quick start, but it's too fast there. So I'm going to hit pause on that, N to get rid of that right panel, get myself a second one, and then this one I'm going to grab that dope sheet. Alright, so I'm going to A to deselect everything. And so what are we looking at? So let's jump. So we've got keyframes right here. So here are our camera keyframes. And I'm just going to B box select all of these and hit G and just move it maybe to about 100 even, because it was really fast. So I'm going to go back to the start, hit play. Okay, that's looking a lot better. It's moving out so you can see the action, but it's not happening really crazy fast. Let's pause it, and I'm going to close that. Alright, we only have a couple little things left to do. I'm going to scroll out and zoom out, and in the right here I'm going to go to the world and click to the right of the color and go to environment texture, click open, go to this Barcelona rooftops, and I'm going to grab the 3K. So now if I hit Shift Z and then 5, you'll see the scene is being added, and we're doing this just because it'll add a little bit more interesting colors and reflections into our scene, and it'll just make things look a little nicer. So I'm going to hit Shift Z, we've got that added. I'm going to hold Shift, hit A, and add in a plane. I'm going to hit S and scale this plane up, make it really big. I hit R and Y, so rotate Y 90, and I'm going to zoom out, and I'm just going to pull that back. And I'm doing this because our camera sees through this hole at some points, and I don't want to see that the Barcelona backdrop. So I'm going to go to the right and new material, change this to principled. I'm going to make it a blue, and I'm going to put the roughness all the way up. So now if I hit 0 and I scroll to where you can see through, hit Shift Z, you now get this blue coming through, and it'll kind of have these nice colors in here. So now that we've got those two things added, we are ready to render this out. So if you're not familiar with rendering, if you go to the little camera here, this is your resolution. I'm going to put up to 100%. Depending on the specs of your computer, you'll either want to render with your CPU or GPU. If you don't have this option, look up rendering with GPU for Blender, and you'll find information about it. So I'll leave it up to you to figure out. And then the other big thing is the amount of samples. The higher the samples, the better it's going to look, but also the longer the render time. So I have a pretty decent computer, so I can get away with some larger samples. And in my example, I'm going to use GPU, and I'm going to put this up to maybe, let's say, 400, and really just set it to something, hit F12, and that will start rendering just a single frame. And so you can use that to figure out what settings you should have, because we have 240 frames. Right now it's saying it's going to take about 2 minutes. So multiply 240 by 2 minutes, and that's how long it's going to take. So for whatever machine you have and how much time you have, you're just going to figure out something that's going to work for you. So I'm going to hit escape on that, and so I'm happy with that. I'll be able to make that work. The other setting I want to change over here in the scene, if you don't have the denoising on, click that on. It'll just let you get away with less samples but still get the good result. So I'm going to go back over here, and so now you want to change your output folder. So I'm going to click right here, and you can just make a new folder, say like render, whatever you want to call it, go into it, and then just make a name. I'm just going to say like animation _ really whatever you want, hit enter, and then enter again. So now if I scroll up, we've got the resolution 100%, we've got the samples of what we want. If you click animation, it's just going to start rendering out this scene frame by frame. Alright, and that's it for this tutorial. I'm also going to show in the next video how you could do this with Eevee. And so if you're having, if you can't actually render this out, if you got a decent graphics card, you might have a lot better luck doing it with Eevee. Alright, thanks for watching.